You know, I love that video entrance, but every time we do it, I want to have us when it comes back to our cameras live. I want to pretend I didn't see it and have my finger up my nose or something like that.
You're not the only one.
But anyway, welcome back to the Stadium Journey podcast. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. Our website, stadiumjourney.com, is the world leader in sports travel information, reviews of over 2,600 stadiums from all around the world. Social media, we're there too. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Threads. We're easy to find at Stadium Journey. Like, share, and follow, right? If you want to look at older episodes of the Stadium Journey podcast, we're easy to find. Pick up your phone or whatever device you use to listen to podcasts. Type in HIAC Talk Radio Network. Wherever you look for your favorite podcast, we'll be there. And if you'd rather watch old episodes, you can do that too. Just go to Stadium Journey's YouTube page. And if you want to be part of our studio audience, follow any one of us on social media, and there'll be links on how to find us and be part of the Peanut Gallery. Let me take a minute before we get started and introduce the gang. Dave Cotney's here. Follow him at ProFan9. Mark Viquez is online at Ballpark Hunter. The above average comedian, Dan Colachico's here. You can follow him at Dan Law. Well, wait, you got two names now. Dan Law 83, Dan Law 83 or Dan Law TV. Which one?
The way I say it is Dan Law 83 on all social media platforms, except for Elon's, is Dan Law TV.
Except Elon's is Dan Law TV.
On X Twitter. I had to rename it. I won't mention specifics because it's a delicate subject, but not really. But he tweeted something yesterday, Mr. CEO of Twitter, and I'm not going to say what he tweeted either, but it was absolutely a rule violation. So I logged back into my old account and said, "Hey, if your boss can tweet this, can you turn my account back on?" And they were like, "Nah."
Do as I say, not as I do.
As I do. Yeah, well, I mean, you're not wrong, my friend. You are not wrong.
And speaking of being not wrong, that's me, Paul Baker. Follow me at PuckmanRI. And so for today's show, the minor leagues are wrapping up. Well, depending on what level you're paying attention to, they're either wrapping up their playoffs or wrapping up their regular season right about now. So we thought it would be a good time for us to wrap up our minor league discussions as well. And to help us do this, we've brought in another ringer this week. Donnie Wise is here with us. He is the co-host of the Dad Hat Chronicles Sports Show, and that's part of the Curved Brim Media conglomerate. So, Donnie, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here, and hopefully I can add some good stuff to the conversation.
You can't do any worse than any of us. So,
hey, I'm on here, Donnie. You're fine.
Okay.
You're gold. It's a low bar, so you just climb.
Awesome.
So, Mark, I'm going to lean on you first here. What was our goal with this discussion? Because I kind of didn't go to that staff meeting. So we're talking about.
Well, I mean, there's pros and cons to what we're talking about to everybody listening. Thank you for checking us out. I appreciate it. Diamond Baseball Holdings. They own, I think, 35 ball clubs as we speak. Could be 36 by the time we wake up tomorrow. Maybe even 37. There's a lot of people like Zach Beeson who listens to the show and follows Stadium Journey because before he goes, he checks out stadiumjourney.com. He doesn't like it. He doesn't think that they should be buying up all these teams and owning it. And the last couple of years, they have quietly put together this empire of these 35 teams. I think they're allowed to own 14 teams per level. So I think that's 56 if my math is correct.
There is really a guideline that how many teams somebody can own?
Based on what I found, 14 per league, unless that's changed since that's
crazy.
I believe it, considering you could just snatch up teams.
So that's 56 out of 120.
Out of 120. So some people like it, some people don't care, but some people really don't. They want individual ownership. They don't like they don't like one big giant powerful group coming in because that can open up the door for maybe a competitor. And when you do the math, you may just have two companies owning all of minor league baseball clubs. And I don't know. I don't know what to think about it right now. It doesn't bother me that DBH, and we'll call them DBH just to be short, is buying all these teams. I think they have good intentions. And I think when they buy the team, They're part of the Silver Lake Private Equity Group, which also owns Fanatics, MSG Sports, Endeavor, which handles UFC, PBR, bull riding. They can bring a lot to the table.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They're a big conglomerate. They're a big equity group.
And no, they had any. Well, they formed TKO, which owns UFC and WWE. Is Endeavor.
So, and I think one article said that when they bought the Frisco Grizzlies, that opened up the door to get some concerts at their ballpark, which they never had before. And Thomas Rhett, who's a big country star, I'm not familiar with him, but it opens up the door to get more than just baseball at the ballpark. So pros or cons, what does everybody think about, the future of minor league baseball, which has changed, let's be honest, since 2020 shakedown.
Well, it's one of those things where, based on the numbers you're saying, there's keeping them from having more than 50% at any level, obviously, or 50% total. So that's how they're getting around these guys maybe being a monopoly. Mm-hmm. I think it's a good thing in some way. I just think in general, perception is bad because they have to put into these teams and the buying power to maybe do better with all of the purchases and marketing and things like that. But in the grand scheme of thing, I just don't know if it's really that great of a thing for a company to have that many teams.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm kind of with you, Donnie. I'm not sure. I'm not sure we've had enough runway to really make 100%. Oh yes, this is good, or oh yes, this is bad. We haven't really seen. Obviously, we do see that two teams that are part of this group are the two teams that are moving for next year, Mississippi and Down East. Down East. What a horrible name for a team.
Kinston.
But does the breadth of this group, that it's so big, does it not protect some markets? Because now, like, Major League Baseball is, of course, over top of all of this, right? And what Major League Baseball says is essentially going to go. However, you got an organization that owns 35 teams. It's not like I think an example that I was thinking of is Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas was a community-owned team, right? Major League Baseball says, yeah, you know what? We don't want to go there anymore. We're gonna de-affiliate you or whatever. Like, that community-owned team is now, right? And where did those assets go or whatever? With Diamond Baseball Holdings, there's some backing, and they can say, well, hold up. We think this is good, and this is why we think it's good to be in Arkansas of all places.
Yeah, I think that the strength of them is having the pushback on Major League Baseball, but at the same time, the fact that they started out kind of with a guy that was hired by Major League Baseball to look at how to restructure things sort of seems shady. Mm-hmm. But I'm with you that not having enough information yet, because they've done a lot of good. I love that they're changing some of the names and getting rid of some of the parent company or parent team names. But the relocation thing doesn't fit what they say where they're all about the community. Because if they were about the community, they would find ways to help upgrade those stadiums that they inherited, and they're not putting their own money into any of that and moving these teams. So I don't know why they couldn't have all the money, put something into Kinston, into Pearl, Mississippi, keep those teams there rather than relocate. So again, I think we're too early to find out long term if this is going to be good or bad. It's just, we don't know yet. And I reached out to. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think that's the flip side. There is you got it. Is now, I mean, you have a big conglomerate that can push back on Major League Baseball. However, that big conglomerate can push back at a small local government and say, listen, you got to provide X, Y, Z in facilities. And if not, we can move this, no problem.
And I think that's what they've done. I reached out to Eric Profit, because he's a season ticket member for the Wind Surge, and they were bought by Diamond Baseball. Just to ask him what he thought that they had done good or bad since they had owned. Did he noticed anything? His first response is, "I haven't noticed anything." So I don't know if that's good or bad. And I said, "So you haven't noticed anything?" He said, "There's a lot they can improve." He didn't think the ownership thing really had affected anything at the stadium at this point.
Yeah, because I don't think the goal for the company is to get rid of anyone. It's like, okay, this is your franchise. You know, for example, they own Oklahoma City, Memphis, Louisville. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Whoever is in place there, who's ever local, that knows the community, they're letting them run the show for what I can tell. What they're doing is, I guess, a lot of cross promotion. So maybe if they come up with some side of promotion that works well in one city, you can see that across the board, which is very common in minor league baseball and in all levels of baseball as we speak. I mean, you know, the Savannah Bananas, I know that's an independent team, but that whole thing of holding your baby up for the first game, I mean, I see that at football games. So, you know, Dizzy Bat Race, the Superstars coming into town, you know, Thirsty Thursdays. These are things that just translate across the ballparks, the playing of Sweet Caroline. So that a high school football game this weekend. So I guess the whole cross promotion things, and we're looking at you know, Mississippi Braves. I mean, was that team going to move regardless if it was owned by somebody else? I mean, were the signs there that they could possibly move to another town that says, "Hey, we'll fix up our ballpark or build something new and attract you"?
Well, I mean, the attendance wasn't spectacular. It was their 2023 attendance was about 2,500 a game, and that was second last in their league, just ahead of Biloxi. Mm-hmm. Down east, the other one, I mean, their attendance is pretty horrible. They're last in the they were last in the Carolina League, and
yeah, everybody knew they were moving. I think that affected them.
But they're at like 1,500, and regardless of who the owner is, people still have to walk through the doors. And if people aren't walking through the doors, there's no media deal that's going to save these teams. It's not like the NFL or the NBA where you sign your TV deal and it doesn't matter who walks through the doors. It's all bonus at that point, right? People still have to walk through the doors, and those leagues don't have the advantage that the Florida State League has, where essentially they're all playing in ballparks that have to be used because they're all spring training facilities, right? And the teams all have personnel down there anyway. So that it's kind of like I don't know. I see the Florida State League as this it's a side effect of spring training. Well, we want a new spring training facility. Okay, but we got to run a team during the summer because what else are we going to do with it, right? But yeah, the people weren't coming through the doors. So, and I think bigger picture, you know, 5 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever, not everyone, but there was plenty of complaints about how Major League Baseball was taking care of their players, right? These minor league guys are coming in, some of them from, you know, Latin America, and they're not getting fed. They're living like in these terrible accommodations. They've got to pay for their own laundry. They got to do this. They got to do that. Well, Major League Baseball has changed all that. That's part of this whole organization. And they're saying, listen, you have to have X amount of facilities as a minor league team. And if you can't do that, we're not putting our investment in your team.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing with like down east and Mississippi. Those stadiums are pretty old stadiums, and so if you're another team that's in a stadium that's maybe 20 years old, if you haven't done the things you need to by now, and you've had 4 years since Major League Baseball told you what you need to do, then you're probably going to be close to being on the chopping block. You know, they bought Hickory and then this down east team is moving to Spartanburg. Well, they're flipping high A, low A for both of those Rangers teams next year because down east is moving to a new stadium, and they want their high A team to have the new facility. Hickory's going to be the old facility, so they're bumping them back down. And I think Hickory is probably one of those teams that could be relocated to they don't get some improvements to that stadium because you guys know that stadium's pretty old. And I think that's just like you said, that's the way it's going to be. If you don't make these improvements, you're going to be moving away. And these guys have the money and the backing to move you faster and force somebody to build you a stadium.
Yeah, I mean, Columbus, Georgia spent $50 million in public money for renovation costs, I believe, to get the Mississippi team. And it could be like a new arms race. There's another team that is, we've seen the Hillsboro Hops. They're building a new ballpark because they want to make sure they keep their team. South Bend Cubs are doubling the size of their ballpark, which is going to be close to $10,000 if they do that. They're making huge improvements. The Smokies, Tennessee's, they're moving back to Knoxville to a brand new ballpark. We're going to have a lot of new stadiums coming up to venture out to. So you're right. If you don't make these changes, you're going to lose your team. And, there's ballparks waiting, cities waiting to renovate their ballpark, whether it's public money or not, to get you back into town.
Yeah, the tourists, they had a referendum at the beginning of the season, and they came down to the wire with the county and the city agreeing. And I don't know if you guys saw today, but they tore down the archway today going to the old stadium, and they're getting ready.
Yeah, I reposted that right before we started recording.
So it looks like from the renderings, it's going to be nice, and they're going to keep a little bit of that old charm while also making the improvements they need.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about a lot of possible benefits from having one entity owning a lot of teams. My concern is that what we're going to see is we're going to start to see everything, and I think we're already seeing it a little bit with Major League Baseball enforcing some standards that they would like to see. I think we're going to start seeing everything look more the same. And what I'm afraid is one of the best things about traveling the country to minor league parks for me is the different places and the old places and the new places and everything mixed up and a lot of local flavor wherever you go. I'm worried that with the same company owning, like we said, they could be up to 56 teams. Are we going to see 56 clones?
Right. And are
we going to see, like Gregory just said, are we going to see more things like the Malmo oat milkers?
Oat milkers. I'm first not wearing that jersey today, Paul.
Although, yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, it
was so excited to get that.
It's Sam's jersey. Yeah, I actually won an oat milkers jersey. I was at a game in Memphis, and they were not raffling off the jersey, just having a giveaway. I put my name in, and a few weeks later, they said, "Yep, you want a jersey? Come on down to Memphis and pick it up at the team store." I said, "Well, there's a problem. I live in Massachusetts. I'm not driving to Memphis for a jersey." I said, we'll ship it to you." I said, "Okay, that'll work."
Yeah,
I think you might be right about big promotions like that. And Donnie, I think you're right that some things are going to be sort of homogeneous or run across multiple areas. But I think the advantages are in areas like your ticket sales group, or, think of it this way, purchasing power, right? Now you have a large company that can put in a big order for a ticketing platform, right? And just like Walmart, they're going to get a better deal than, that little independent team who's trying to do it on their own.
So can a mom and pop operation compete with a conglomerate owning 56 teams?
Depends where mom and pop live. I mean,
yeah. Is mom and pop Walton from
if you
Walmart?
Think about it,
right.
What's the biggest mom and pop operation in the NBA? It's the Lakers. Right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, I think you're going to have some locally owned, like one or two owner teams or two team owners that will do well, like you said, if they're in the right area. Like our team, the Fireflies. I didn't realize actually till this season that we owned also the Lookout and Fort Wayne Caps. So our ownership has those three teams across 3 different states and 3 different levels, I believe. So those guys may do okay. They may add a team. If you've got somebody that owns a single team, and I think you had that in Charlotte. I mean, that guy owned the Charlotte Knights, and he cashed out. So just a matter of whether the owner wants to keep dealing with it or not. But I think the Major League Baseball is one that probably pushed the oat milker thing. And I don't know if you've seen the thing with the helmet sponsorship. That's going to be a 3-year thing, and it said it's going to be across all of minor league baseball. And I don't understand why they're partnering with some European company for 3 years for that. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's ridiculous. It has nothing to do with Diamond Baseball. That's Major League Baseball sticking their finger in the pot,
cashing a paycheck.
Yeah. But we're the ones that are going to have to sit there and look at all that.
I had an oat milker or their product at Wrigley Field at their ice cream stand. It was not good. it was the ice cream. Well, we went to the alternate ice cream stand somehow and ended up with the oat milker alternate ice cream or non-dairy ice cream or whatever you want to call it. And it was just from the first bite, it was like something's not right with this ice cream.
Because it's not ice cream.
It ain't ice cream. That's what's wrong with it.
Give me some sherbet. Yeah, that's like you can't even get old style at Wrigley Field anymore.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's their sponsorship is with Bud, so it's just Budweiser.
Oh, wow.
I think there's another thing that's kind of being protected here, and I've heard people speculate that Major League Baseball is going to shed themselves of another 30 teams.
Ooh.
I've heard that rumor as
well. I haven't heard that one yet.
And
somebody in our chat said it too.
And I just feel that when you're dealing, like, unless you're going to shed the teams that are all independents and, change the ratios or whatever that Donnie was saying, then I don't know if I see it. It's going to be hard to shed 30 teams with a big conglomerate like this.
Yeah, I mean, that would basically wipe out all low A. Is essentially what you'd be looking at. I mean, you may drop a high A or a double A team somewhere and move a low A into that spot if you do that. I don't see that happening, but I don't think that we need to, I don't know.
Well, how much money would that save Major League Baseball? Like when they cut, how many teams did they cut? Oh, a little while back, they cut, 20 teams? Because it wasn't everybody? That saved them.
They cut about 40.
I don't even think it was a huge number. Yeah, 40. But I don't think it was really a huge savings like you would expect. I think the number I heard was something like it only saved every team $7 million, but they did it anyway.
But with that cutting, they increased their cost base for all the other teams that were staying, right? Like they were paying way more money to run those 4 remaining teams than they were paying before. They were paying their players better. They were covering all of the staff. Right. I mean, that's the other thing is that these minor league teams literally, the on-field staff, they A, don't have to hire them, and B, don't have to pay them. Like that's all Major League Baseball. Right. So, they did save a little bit of money by cutting those teams, but at the same time, they increased, I think they increased all the money they were paying for the ones that were remaining.
Well, that was protecting themselves from a future lawsuit that was coming down the pike about fair payment for the players. So, do they need to do another round of that to get the salaries further up to snuff?
Well, they need to have enough places to develop the players. So hopefully they won't cut them because of money, because then you end up with 3 levels and you're going to diminish the product at the major league level, which maybe they don't care. I mean, and they can also go out to these independent teams and pick up players as well, and that's something they don't have to.
Right, that would be the thing. Yeah, the partnership leagues, I think, would have an increased presence. But you look at hockey. Hockey has basically a level and a half of minor leagues. Does baseball need 4 levels of minor leagues?
I don't know. Does hockey need more? What's the level of the quality of the players?
Yes,
I think it's fair to say, though, that there's a much higher percentage of hockey players that are going to stop in the minor leagues for 1 year or not stop in the minor leagues at all than there are baseball players.
Oh yeah.
How many baseball players are coming from the draft and hopping into AA and then hitting the majors? Not that many.
Few and far between. I mean,
it takes
Skeens was probably the most recent one.
He barely played in Indianapolis.
Yeah, the old argument is it takes longer to develop a baseball player. So that's why you need the more levels.
And the thing is, if you get a kid in college that's played 4 years of college, then he's covered most of the lower levels of the minor league, and they'll probably jump to AA.
Yeah. Well, even a guy like Conforto for the Mets, I mean, he never played AAA. They called him up from AA. He's done all right. He's still in the big leagues. Would AAA have done him better? Would he be a better hitter? Those are the questions. But
you're talking about conformity there, and looking at Dan's clip, I just thought of something. Can you imagine if all of they sold all of their billboards universally, so every minor league park had the same billboards in them? Yeah. How bizarre would that be?
Yeah, that would be crazy.
I don't think there's any money in it for that. But.
Well, no, all those local. I mean, you might have a national sponsorship that is at all the ballparks, and you might see that already. But if I'm in Allentown, you're going to see, you're going to see a Wawa.
You know what?
Frisco.
You know who could benefit? Like, I think is those national providers, right? Like, I don't know if it would go as far as Diamond Baseball Holdings has 35 deals with Aramark or whatever, right? Like they go Aramark right across the board. But I could see with Coke, right? Like all the Diamond ballparks are all Coke ballparks now, or they're all Budweiser. However that works. I mean, nobody should be Budweiser, but
God, we're living Ready Player One. We're just on the cusp. Ugh.
Well, talking about the food real quick, though, if you look at Diamond Baseball Holdings website, they've partnered with a particular hospitality group, and that group runs 5 of their teams now. So that may be something they look to integrate across the other teams as contracts run out. Right. So how does that affect local vendors and things like that? I mean, I think we're still, like we said at the beginning, too early to know if this is going to be good or bad. I think it's really going to be good for the most part, but like anything, like Major League Baseball, it's got the bad parts that you have to live with.
I think
there's black or white, right? We live in gray, or we live in a gray world.
There's the other piece that I don't think gets really enough publicity is that following the purge. And people thought like, oh my gosh, this is just going to kill baseball. It hasn't. Like places that wanted baseball, that lost their affiliates, still have baseball, right?
Not
places low. That
Pawtucket, they still got baseball.
But places that couldn't support their team or whatever, they don't have baseball, or they couldn't provide a facility. They don't have baseball. So, there are some Pawtuckets, but there's plenty of other spots that are just still chugging along, and they just don't have an affiliate. Does Joe average, local baseball fan walking in really care who the affiliate was? Well, probably not. Like they want to get out and family, and you Northeasterners who all have your affiliates like 5 minutes from the Green Monster, maybe, but
actually, that's the Orioles are the ones that have the perfect setup with their affiliates.
Don't lump me in with him.
The Red Sox have 2 affiliates down closer to Donnie than me. So
the Braves have all of theirs in state essentially now.
Yeah. Right there, yeah. The most spoiled I got with minor league affiliates is when the best time the spectrum across the parking lot from the center and the Flyers and the Phantoms were right there.
And the best is when they set up, one played in the afternoon and one played at night. That was just beautiful.
And if you couldn't make it to the games live, they were aired locally. So you had a day of hockey. One would be on one of the like Philly 57 or one of the other local channels. and then Prism or later Comcast Sportsnet or whatever it's called now, East Jambumble Crap News Sports Network or whatever, they would have the Flyers game. So you would always watch, and when the Wings and the Kicks were playing, they would have them like you'd have 4 sports events in a day, which, you know, when the Eagles and Phillies are playing, it's real fun trying to get out of the parking lot.
Yeah.
And it was always fun when there was like 4 sports teams playing or 3 in a day. But that's as close as it ever got, Dave. So the River Sharks were across the street, but they were an affiliate. It doesn't count.
I love Gregory's point here. The White Sox have 3 of their 4 affiliates within about an hour or 2 of each other, but none of them are anywhere near Chicago.
Yeah, but
they're all in North Carolina.
They're all in North Carolina, yeah.
Yeah,
and everybody's pushing for the White Sox to move to Raleigh. Down there, they are.
Why?
Yeah.
One bad year?
Who wants the White Sox right now anyway?
One bad year.
Well, it's Reinsdorf whining for a stadium again.
Yep.
Wow.
And I don't know. If I'm the mayor of
Sorry,
Chicago, I'm like, okay, have a nice trip. And hey, Cubs fans.
No, Chicago's a two baseball town. They're not going to move.
Really? The 25 people who are in attendance at White Sox
You're going to
games
lose
now?
120 games.
Well, you got to win
what?
a game, Dave.
There's more people in
White Sox
Oakland.
fans want to see the team win. They're not Cubs
The
fans.
Blue Jays never left, and they suck.
The Bay
I mean, the
Area was a
Tigers
2-team area.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad.
This
It's bad.
happens all the time, by the way, Donnie.
I think I got a ticket for $1.
Yeah, but you got to realize if you're a 2 baseball town and you're like number 2, you can't try and hold the city up for ransom because it's not
No.
gonna work.
You get
You got to
upgrades,
respect
maybe.
Southside fans.
You can
The
have
only-
upgrades.
The only chance that Jerry has is if he says, "Okay, fine. If you're not going to build me a baseball stadium, I'm moving the Bulls to Texas or something."
Use the Bulls as leverage. Well, look at when New York had to build 2 stadiums.
I'm
The Yankees got $1
I'm
billion.
moving the Michael Jordan statue to Washington.
What the heck did you put on, Dan?
It's a celebration from the White Sox a couple years ago with the lead singer of Ghost.
There's not many
rock
people
band.
there.
Mhm.
No, and this is when they weren't losing 148 games a year.
Is that
That was why I brought it up, because I was like, A, does that band have that much of a thing in Chicago? Number one. Number two, nobody's there. But he threw out the first pitch and got a baseball card of the day and everything. And it's not really satanic.
They
guys.
won
It's-
2 in a
it's
row
fair.
as we record. There may be some folks out there now.
Ooh, 2. Maybe they'll have 50 people. They'll double the audience.
They're playing
35 and 115 folks. At the
I'm
time
sorry,
of this
that's mean.
recording.
Listen, I say that, but I sat through some games at the vet when I was a little kid where nobody was there.
Well, yeah,
And you're talking about, what was that, a 50,000 seater, maybe more? And you're talking about like in the buttholes of summer of the late 80s, early 90s Phillies. Nobody was going. Like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, but
Oh God. The hottest my body's ever been. Even compared to global warming, I can still remember eating the things on nachos, but it was just like all that concrete and cancer. That's not a joke. That's the stadium. It's just ugh.
segue back to DBH. One of the teams I own is Louisville, and a lot of people would assume Louisville draws extremely well. They've had from when I go to games, I feel like they've had attendance issues. There should be a lot more folks going to those games. So something like DBH coming in, maybe trying to come up with a creative plan to get some folks to see games there again. And I don't know what they're going to do. Would be a positive spin for certain markets that maybe just need a little seasoning, a little oomph. I live in Indianapolis. They just drew close to 15,000 this past weekend because they retired Razor Shines' number, local legend here. Indianapolis, probably, and Scranton Wilkes-Barre, those are teams they probably don't need a lot of help from DBH. Same with, I think St. Paul is on their portfolio as well.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City, these are clubs that do really well. Charlotte, Albuquerque, but someone like Louisville could benefit with a little bit of help. And I don't know what other markets draw well or should be drawing better. Like I couldn't tell you about Winston-Salem or Rome. I think Rome might be doing a little better with the new name and logo.
There are
Binghamton.
enough people in Rome.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I'm just saying, like, sometimes it can help current teams that need a little bit of shot, need a shot in the arm to, get something going there. Because Louisville's a beautiful ballpark, great location, wonderful city to visit. I mean, it should be drawing much better than what it currently is.
And that could be one of the benefits of all of this is that they bring in the teams like the Saints, Charlotte Knights, some of these other teams that have been doing it right to begin with, and spread that expertise across all of the teams, and maybe that helps elevate some of these teams to do better with promotions. And because of the buying power we talked about, merchandise maybe increases better at some of these because maybe the previous owner didn't have the buying power to do the merch that everybody wants. And then the cross promotions, they might link up with a couple of people that go to every one of these stadiums throughout the season for a promotional night. So again, that could be one of the good things.
Oh yeah, that's in Louisville.
Definitely.
Yeah, and Louisville's been doing a lot of this is from look at my no gray in my beard. Those were the days. Yeah, this is when they
That
just
beard that's such a beard that it looks like it hurts.
Yeah,
That's
I don't like
beard.
beards. I don't like beards, but that Indian shirt still fits me well. I was aware of that the other day. But see, this was their logo from the year before, and they had switched whenever.
I want that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
But now now they have the different. Every team has 4 different types of jerseys plus a throwback jersey plus an alternative identity. Sometimes more than 5. It seems.
I also think that name's more brilliant than people are talking about. The Louisville Bats. That's kind of a great pun. Yeah. It's not really a pun, but it's a pun.
And it works best in Louisville. Yeah, definitely.
That's what I mean.
Play at Louisville Slugger Field.
Yeah, Louisville Slugger Field. That's perfect. I can't believe because while you were doing the show, while we were talking, I'm like, what the heck is the Louisville team name, and why am I blanking on? Oh, Bats.
Yeah, they were the River Bats at first.
That's brilliant. That still works. I'm all for River Team, River Rats, River Bats. Let's go.
Yeah. Now
Louisville's kind of. I think I did a quick look. 2023, they had about 5 teams below them in attendance in the International League.
They should be higher. They
the
should
International League. So I mean, it's not. They're not terrific, but I don't know. They're not awful.
I was going to ask, how is attendance trending in the minor leagues? Is it trending up, down, level?
Well, I think I saw an article, an ESPN article, when I was looking it up that said that it was up this year.
Right, but
up by 4%.
But but I don't think they fully recovered from the pandemic year that they lost. So are they back to like 2018, 2019 levels, or are we still on the recovery road?
Well, I think it's tough because I think a lot of stuff has changed other than the COVID stuff, and your streaming has pushed, those major sports in your face even more. And that's what I mean. Minor league sports are, whether they want to say it or not, they're totally competing with major league sports. They're competing with, they want you to stay home and watch on television instead of going to the ballpark, right? So I don't know if it's like people are afraid to go out. I mean, let's face it. That
was not my point at all.
Well, I don't know what you guys are talking about down there, but like inflation is a big, huge deal up here. So, would rising prices and just about everything affect minor league baseball? Yeah, probably.
It's been a few shows since we had Dave's competing with the internet rant.
Yeah. Well, if you look at this article from Baseball America from June, attendance is down 2024.
You mean the one I just had up on the screen that everybody ignored?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
I know Worcester's had an attendance record this year, and I think that was minor league baseball wide. I don't think that was just a Worcester specific record.
No, it was league wide.
400,000, I think.
435,000 tickets was what I was trying to say. Wow, that was a hard number. It's not really, but my mouth could not say it. I thought it was exceed on pay. They're on pace to exceed 500,000 for the third straight year.
There you go.
So at least
I guess it was a good move, wasn't it?
At least Dave, I guess Dave was right with his Northeast comment. He was completely accurate on that one. Dave, yeah, there's an I can't talk today. There's an article for 2023 that says it was up 4%, but the latest one I see about this year is down again.
Okay.
So and that's as a general, not specific division or whatever.
Here's another thing. Back in the day, if I typed in, International League attendance, Pacific Coast League attendance, I would have no trouble finding it. I feel like I'm having to do a lot of searching for that this year.
You're using Bing. Don't use Bing.
No, I'm not using that. We talking.
Don't use Bing.
Like, it's not taking me to the sites I normally go to.
Yeah, see that
Bing's
that
bad.
site out there, Dan, is crappy. It doesn't have any attendance. It's got zeros. Ballpark Digest has.
Yes, I noticed, but I can't get off it quick enough.
Ballpark
Baseball
Digest has the 2023 one. Like if you go down to the.
Oh yeah, 2023 you can find.
That's what I've been looking at there.
Oh, well, we don't.
Yeah, Baseball America has a graph that shows that minor league baseball attendance from 2010 to 2019 hovered between about 32 to 35 million. Of course, it dipped, obviously, 2021. Then it's back up now that it's over 30 million as of 2022 going into 2023 with 40 less teams.
Right.
So I think it's about where it was.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's plateaued, but got it.
Beautiful. Thank you, boys, for answering my question.
No problem.
It took 7
I'll tell you this, too. One of the things I noticed this season, Columbia
In
Fireflies
the
are low
longest
A,
possible way.
but our two biggest nights of attendance this year were Bluey Night and
Bluey.
Harry Potter Night. So it's all about the promotions with the kids that have nothing to do with baseball.
Well, I can tell you, I was in Kane County when Bluey was there, and I arrived a little bit late. And they had overflow parking at their stadium, which is about $10 to $15 depending where you want to park. And the amount of kids that went to see Bluey was insane. Like the waiting in line. It was a hot summer day. And I was like, I left early because I didn't want to sit in that traffic. There was a little boy crying. I don't know if I told this story. I want to see Bluey. I want to see Bluey. And the mom's like, I'm not waiting in the hot sun.
And then Denise told Mark to just go home. You're not seeing Bluey.
Yeah. Well, if I had my niece and nephew, I would have been waiting in line. And I would have been like, Mom, I know what you mean. When you had to wait in line at Disney World.
How do you make 3-year-olds wait in an hour-long line?
But I mean, it was insane.
You're going to see Bluey.
They had Bluey up in like the suite level, Bluey and Bingo, and you had to wait in line down the third base side, up the stairs. In fact, the line went out of the ballpark and came back in. And then I guess the people that were dressed up as Bluey, because there was people were complaining about it on Facebook. I think they would take 20-minute breaks after a certain amount of time.
Oh, God forbid.
Yeah. So. You try telling a 6-year-old, no, we're not going to see Bluey.
Bluey needs a drink of water. He'll be right back.
Bluey is huge. And
Bluey will be right back.
I tried to explain to my 4-year-old granddaughter on Bluey night that it was somebody in a costume, and she couldn't understand it. No, Bluey is real. So,
I gave my tickets to one of my college roommates, and he took his two grandkids, and he said he was not even getting in line. It was 150 deep from the time he got there at the start of the game until like the 8th inning. And he just walked by close by, took a picture of his grandkids with Bluey in the background, but not actually meeting them.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Good enough.
I'll get the ice cream out.
Close enough.
For years in Buffalo, they sold out 2 games a year.
Right.
They'd sell out Star Wars night, and then they'd sell out like the 4th of July game, where they would always have the symphony play and the crazy fireworks and whatnot. Actually, we went to Marvel night, which they tried to do just like a Star Wars night. Because in Buffalo, they do this big, they get all these super nerd cosplayers to come in their Star Wars costumes. They do this big drama and whatnot. And it's pretty, it's pretty cool. So they tried to do that with the Marvel thing. And it was interesting that it didn't take like
super nerds,
like the Star Wars one. So Yeah, my daughter's already bugging me to go. That we got to go back next year to Star Wars night because they're gonna have a big thing for James Earl Jones. So.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They always do a big, in remembrance of video montage or with regards to Star Wars, and so yeah, she's like,
so we're all proving for our own corners of the minor league world that the promotions really matter. Yeah, your point, Donnie. I work for an independent team this summer, and our two biggest nights were Bluey Night and Taylor Swift Night. So you're absolutely right.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then people jump on like Thirsty Thursdays. That was something that Asheville created years ago.
That sounds like a gentleman's club.
And they're like, yeah, you could. Everybody can have a Thirsty Thursday.
Here he comes.
I'm going to the New England Knockouts game when they have like PA announcer Taylor Swift karaoke night.
One thing that they did do on Taylor Swift night is they had me do Taylor Swift trivia. They had me do it. So our on-field host was asking me the questions. But I got one of my two biggest laughs of the season. After she asked me the second question, which I didn't get right, I said, "Can we please do this for Van Halen instead?" that got a real big laugh.
Oh yeah, Van Halen, Van Hagar, or Scam Halen? Which one?
Oh God,
Scam Halen. What, Gary Sharon?
Yeah,
I can answer that question for all
That's
three.
a good one. I've not heard that one before.
Scam Halen. Yeah. Oh, listen. I like
Gary Sharon deserves so much better. He was the best singer out of the three of them by far.
By Gary Sharon is by a long country mile.
Now
I'm gonna go off on a Mark tangent now. Gary Sharon was the lead singer for Extreme for the longest time.
Still,
we used to they're back together. We used to see them play in a little club in Westport, Massachusetts, 3-4 miles up the road from my house, called Alhambras. We used to call it Alley Bimbos. We would sneak in there as high school kids and go see them play, and they rocked so hard that when they hit it big, man, we weren't surprised when they hit it big.
They're a great band.
They were fantastic.
You have Nuno Betancourt on guitar. There's a great band.
Well, they just released a video with him doing a guitar solo, like an epic guitar solo. Like
He's a very underrated guitar player.
Wasn't Gary Sharon also the most well-liked lead singer of Van Halen, like by the band?
Yeah.
Did they like him the best?
Yes, and I can understand why. Davey Lee Roth is a jerk. That's his polite way I'll put it. And Sammy was Sammy. But Sammy's more likable than David. So every time it was an upgrade, it's just nobody bought that album.
What would have been interesting
single
under the category of what could have been when they first split with David Lee Roth, the first singer they were going to hire into the band was Patti Smythe.
Oh yeah.
How would that have sounded?
It probably still would, other than the passing of Eddie, would probably still be a thing.
I don't know who that is. Who is that? Maybe I do, but I don't know though.
She's better than Anne Murray.
Oh, it's a lady?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was an Irish person.
Patty with T's, not D's.
Hi, hello, my name's Patti Smythe, and I'm the lead singer of Van Halen.
Van Halen, a good Irish band.
I can't wait to play Fire in the Hole for all of you folks. It's my favorite song we've ever written.
There you go, Dad. You got your reel for this week.
Got it. I can't believe I was behind that one. I didn't know that. I did not know. That's the first. Wow.
And they ended up hiring some guy, and they actually did some demos with him and did some recordings. I can't think of his name. If you look it up, I think it's like Mike or Matt, somebody. Last name starts with an M. But then when David came back for that quick reunion, when they went to the Video Music Awards, he saw the writing on the wall, and he said, "No, screw this. I'm out."
Yeah. You know what? I'm out. God, I hate David Lee Roth so much. I don't know why. There's something about that man bothers me. And that's comparing him to Eddie and Alex, who are like this, but like they would still be. That's still my brother. I could say that. You can't say that. But like, how hard? It's like Dave Mustaine in Metallica. How bad do you have to be for the guys at Metallica to go, "You get out. You're out."
Well, I saw David Lee Roth solo open for Kiss a few years ago on their final tour.
God.
And that was so bad. He couldn't even keep in time with the band.
Yeah, Donnie, you're right. I saw him solo
That's
It
not
was
what I expected you to say.
one of two shows that I've actually walked out on. It was one of those things, and that's when he had Steve Vai as his guitarist.
Yeah.
And so they were putting out good stuff, and it was just like, what song is this? And then a minute in, oh, that's Ain't Talking About Love.
Because
well, it's like when Kiss had to stop for COVID and postpone the tour. When they restarted it, they didn't bring him back. And I actually saw them in second time in Atlanta. They had a guy who was a painter. Like he would paint to music with his hands, and he did these crazy paintings like upside down, and then he'd spin it around and be like, wow. He was very good. But they replaced David Lee Roth with a guy that paints and plays music.
That's when you know you're washed up.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? I'm good with that.
So I've spent this time looking up Patti Smith, and I still don't know who this is.
The Warrior? Come on, man.
Oh, maybe I do know. Okay. Yeah. And
You
how
looked
is
her
she
up
in the
for that?
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Iron Maiden isn't? What's up
You
with
looked
that?
You looked her up. How is she in the Hall of Fame and Phil Collins isn't? Dave?
Phil Collins isn't in the Hall of Fame?
Genesis is. He is not.
Oh, wow.
Well, that counts.
Split
I'm
hairs.
just joking. I get it.
He has no hair to split, Dave.
And Weird Al. Weird Al should be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We do. By the way, Donnie, we do this all the time, but usually it's Mark and I about pork roll.
Hey, that's okay. I was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2 weeks ago for the first time ever.
Nice.
Oh,
It was interesting, but there was a lot of bands that didn't have any display because I know they can't put everything up.
Yeah.
No.
I can't believe Genesis has a display in there because it's like you got Pete's costumes and his jacket, Phil's beard. What are you putting in there?
Mhm.
A drumstick? And then they got a couple things in there, and I'm like, not enough for me to travel to Cleveland.
Yeah, it was an interesting museum, but yeah, my favorite display might have been George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic because of some of those costumes they had up there. But
Do they still have the balloon inflatable teacher from Pink Floyd's The Wall somewhere near the entrance?
yes.
they used to. I don't know if they still do.
Yes, that's such an awesome looking.
They had when I was there, they had a huge Beatles display. And that was, I don't know, last year?
It's been at least 6-7 years.
23,
since
I think
there,
I was
so.
there.
I got to see
They
this.
still have a
there
pretty
you
good Beatles exhibit. They got a Beatles, Stones,
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix, and a couple of others that are all kind of in this one room together.
I did not realize that this display of the wall was so huge up on the escalator.
Mm-hmm.
All right, DBH holding it. DBH taking over the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Thoughts?
Don't you distract me, gosh dang it.
DPH.
So you know what, Donnie? Let's segue back into baseball a little bit since we're talking about traveling. You're talking about going to Atlanta and Cleveland and stuff.
But
Give us some of your favorite ballparks that you visited.
But look, no, I'm just kidding.
I guess some of the best ones I think I've been to so far is Rocket City Trash Pandas in Huntsville. Is pretty good. Omaha was nice. And
I like Omaha. They don't get a lot of love, though.
Yeah, I like Omaha.
You with that?
I like Omaha, too, but they don't seem to get a lot of love from people.
They don't. It's kind of out there in the middle of nowhere in Omaha and then in Nebraska. But it's a pretty nice stadium, a nice layout. They got a lot of good things going on there. Birmingham Barons is a pretty good stadium.
I like Birmingham, yeah.
Now, down at the lower level, kind of where I'm at, I think Columbia has a really good stadium. I think it's built originally for potentially a 2A team, so it's a better stadium than low A. Cannonballers is fantastic.
I like Kannapolis. Yep, I like that too.
You were there.
I'd say that's all of the ones in the minor leagues that I really, really love so far. I mean, there's a lot of other good ones, but those have the best amenities and the best layouts to me.
We did Fireflies on one of our conventions, and it was a nice ballpark, but I got to say, it was the backstory that made it that much more interesting, I found. And we were there, the first year?
We were there the first season that it was open, yes.
Yeah, so, the whole thing about how it was a state mental institution and they had these grand plans about how they were going to use the whole grounds, which was very cool. And it was top secret at the time, but they took us to the morgue and they were talking about plans on how they were going to make the morgue a bar and a restaurant, which was
they did.
Awesome.
Did they?
They actually
What's the name of
had
this place?
they had a guy that had a food truck. It was
Columbia.
a great
Yeah.
barbecue
Columbia,
place.
South Carolina.
And he opened a barbecue restaurant in the morgue. And that was the coolest thing to me, is that where he kept the meat at before used so that is actually a Mexican restaurant now.
The freezers are ready to go.
The barbecue place
Oh,
didn't
boy.
survive COVID because nobody was going down there to eat. And so now it's part of the second location of Publico, which is a 5 Points Mexican restaurant. It's really good. Y'all would actually, if you here the first year, y'all would be surprised at how grown that area is now.
Yeah, we knew we were there like from ground zero that it was going to be something else within a few years.
I don't know if Dan's a fan of Iron Hill, but there's an Iron Hill
2015.
brewery there. Apparently, it's a big Philadelphia thing.
Yeah. No, I know that. I forgot his name. The guy who the dude who owns it. Never mind. Yes, I'm aware of Iron Hill Brewery.
Okay.
Yes, very
But
much.
there's a lot of housing there. I think they have housing on site now for the players because of that whole thing with Major League Baseball sort of insisting the players get provided housing.
That's really a
and I know
cool idea.
Yeah, we were giving a tour after one of the games recently, and my wife went out to the car, and she sat there and watched all the Latino players all come walking up the sidewalk, go up the street to where the condos and stuff are, and she assumed they're housed over there. But there's a lot of new condos going in, a lot of growth with restaurants, retail, and it's boomed in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I know that was when they gave us a really nice tour of the facilities, and those things were all part of their planning. And the funny thing, Donnie, I actually my real job is I work at a psychiatric hospital, so I'm trying to picture a ballpark going in where I work. I don't know, I can't really see it though.
Well, there's a lot of acreage there, and that thing was really spread out. They torn down most of the building, but my wife's uncle worked there for years. And he's amazed with how they've really done a good job sort of preserving some of the old buildings and repurposing or reutilizing them. But then they've added some new stuff and really just done a good job out there.
Cool. So, geez, Donnie, thank you for your insight. We always try to end these podcasts because we have the Stadium Journey podcast. We talk a little bit about traveling and favorite stadiums. Before we let you go, do you want to talk about the podcast that you do in case any of our listeners want to migrate over there and check you guys out over at the Dad Hat Chronicles?
Yeah, thanks. Me, Ed Rivera, Eric Profit from Earn Fun Average, and Pat Larson, the four of us sort of co-host a sports talk show. It's something Ed's always wanted to do, and he put it together. And started out, it was just him and maybe here and there. But the four of us sort of clicked together. And so every Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, on his YouTube channel, Dad Hat Chronicles, several of his other social platforms, we just sit there and talk for an hour and 20 minutes about sports, mostly baseball, until we get into this time of year. And now we're talking football. And for the fall, the NFL season will actually be on Tuesdays and Thursdays because we do our Thursday our picks for the weekend of NFL games, and then we do a recap of NFL on Tuesdays. And then during the baseball season, we just do Tuesdays because so many people are traveling and doing baseball games on Thursdays. We touch on a few other sports, but it's pretty much baseball and football.
Nice. And where can our listeners find you guys if they would like to, or find you personally?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at WiseDRJR. You can find through at Chronicles or at DHC Sports Show through YouTube channel, Twitter for Ed, I think Instagram Live. Eric Profit and Patrick Larson, you can search them out on Twitter and see both of their pages and stuff there.
Awesome. Donnie, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for following along with us as we digressed into other topics like Van Halen and stuff like that. We appreciate it.
Who doesn't like Van Halen?
Well, you didn't go to college where I did. We used to have battles over the dorm wars over REM versus Van Halen were legendary.
Well, I just
Wow.
went and saw Sammy do the Best of All Worlds tour a month ago, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm very upset that I had to work a game that night and couldn't be
Wait,
there.
wait. Van Halen and
And REM.
REM.
Whoa.
I went to Johns Hopkins, so people were trying to be intellectual, so they would choose REM.
Those are not the
Like-
one of these things is not like the other.
I was very much in the minority in college over my musical choices in the 80s. Let's just say that.
I went to school liking Genesis way too late. Nobody cared about my music. They were very annoyed when Phil hit with "You'll Be in My Heart" from Tarzan, because that's all they heard on the radio, and I was just walking through school going, "Ah!"
Did they like a song? Did they like a song with Bone Thugs?
I don't know. Not many of them heard it. Not many of them heard it. I did. I mean, it's just his song with them rapping on it. It's great. That's what Kelly never talked. You know what? Never mind.
I love Bone
Well, I don't
Thugs.
know if anybody had the diversity that I had. I told everybody in high school and college, if you want to know what I like in music, the 3 bands or artists that I had every album of were Kiss, John Mellencamp, Duran Duran.
Ooh.
I loved all that kind of stuff. Everything
Kiss,
in between.
Joe Cougar, and then he comes in with the left hook on. That's great. Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. Great band, and they're still cooking.
I respect people who have the diverse likes. You can't limit yourself to one lane. You got to shift.
Yeah, well, where I live, you have to like John Mellencamp. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts.
Well, I can't wait to come to your neck of the woods and tell everybody I hate John Cougar Mellencamp or whatever he's calling himself these days.
John Mellencamp. He hasn't been John Cougar Mellencamp in years.
John Mellencamp is about yay tall. That was a surprising thing when I met him.
Oh, good. I have a chance. Sweet.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any.
Hey, Dan. Since we're wrapping up, man, where can our listeners follow you?
No,
Well, you can find these rants and random Genesis facts that nobody asked about at DanLaw83 on all social media platforms except Twitter, DanLaw TV.
Mark, you got any any stadium journeys planned for the next couple of weeks before we get together again?
That's a good question. I went to a high school football game with 10,000 people Friday night unexpectedly. So you can check that out on the Ballpark Hunter YouTube page. We're closing in on 15,000 subscribers. Also, Ballpark Hunter podcast. You can listen to my latest. We talk about the old Jacksonville Lunatics baseball name of the 1890s. That's a fun little episode. Travels for me, I got to get up to Valparaiso, or Lloyd's going to kick my butt. So that's on my list. I also want to go to Northwestern to see that crazy little stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, I have ideas, and then I'm going to be in London.
Do you have concepts of an idea?
Concepts
I have
of
concepts
stuff.
of an
Yeah,
idea.
actually, I do have concepts, just like Trump. I'm going to be in London, England soon, so I want to check out
Bloody hell.
a football game out there. Not the
A
Jets,
football or an American football game?
not the Jets and Vikings, an actual football game. So, soccer.
Like
We call it
football
soccer.
or American handball?
But I don't know. I don't know. Handball will be fun, but I don't know what that's
No.
going to be like. So we'll let you guys know. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. I have concepts. That's all. There you go.
I tried to go in a meeting with my supervisor and I said I have concepts of plans, and I got written up.
Are you serious?
Oh, I did. I went to the Colts game. I went to the Colts game recently. So
Oh yeah, I forgot about the
That's
Colts.
funny. Don't get written up.
Okay.
That's
I
hilarious.
do it all the time.
Come on.
Dave, you got any travels planned for the next fortnight?
Oh yeah,
Fortnite.
super.
Oh, sorry.
Definitely not traveling to any Fortnites. No Fortnite allowed at my house. No, excited because I got 2 games with the #1 nationally ranked Wilfrid Laurier Golden Hawks football team. It's been a long time since we could say that, so that's pretty awesome. We beat Western. They had a 30-0 OUA streak going that we broke. That's about 6 years. They didn't lose to anybody in conference, so that's pretty wild. So yeah, I got some of that, and then junior hockey that nobody's heard of. So junior A, junior B, junior C, Oakville Blades, Milton Menace, Hamilton Kilty Bees, and Grimsby Peach Kings. So you can follow
Grimsby.
You're
All
gonna
of
see
that-
the Guilty Bees and the Peach Kings.
Yeah, that's back
Those
to
are
back.
two of my favorites.
So you can follow all of that craziness at ProFan9, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.
Mark, what
Dollars
was
to
that team you were
donuts.
talking about? The Jacksonville Lunatics?
Yes.
You couldn't name a team that today.
No, you couldn't. And I should give you the gentleman's name. That should be up there. In fact, he told me.
Dollars to donuts, Dave, that Kelly knows those teams.
Yeah, no, you could.
And,
And
pretty
there's-
obscure. You ask.
And if you played for them, you could say, "Hey, I'm a lunatic," and you wouldn't be
gonna-
lying.
well, it's
I'm gonna ask and I'll find out.
it's with it's a professor, Joe Squillis. He wrote an article about it. He did all the research. I was doing a research for Stadium Journey, and I should put that article up. But yeah, at the time, Jacksonville, Illinois, was where the team was from. They had the state's first asylum, so they were just
So
called
they
the
named the team the Lunatics.
No, the newspapers called them lunatics, and the name just stuck. They kept trying to change the name, and everybody kept calling them the lunatics. So Joe and I had a really great conversation. So Joe, if you're listening, he's probably not listening to this. I'll
How
send
dare
you the
you,
link. The check's in the mail.
All right.
Man, lunatics, they're everywhere.
I bump into them every day.
Mm.
Oh, my turn. Let's see. You can follow my Stadium Journeys on Twitter or Instagram at PuckmanRI. Fall sports are now kicking into gear for me. So in the next couple of weeks, I've got gigs at UMass Dartmouth football, Providence College soccer, Holy Cross volleyball.
Holy cross.
And they're new this year. And I'm forgetting somebody, so I apologize, whoever I'm forgetting. Those are all coming up in the next couple of weeks. This Saturday, we've got the annual Boston Bruins, Providence Bruins exhibition game that they play at the Amica Mutual Pavilion every September. So you can also add in a couple of Stadium Journey visits, and my calendar is full again. So yeah, follow me at PuckmanRI. And remember, all of our stadium reviews, news items, and other feature stories can be found on our website, stadiumjourney.com. Social media channels were easy to find at Stadium Journey. To find audio versions of the Stadium Journey podcast, search HIAC Talk Radio Network wherever you look for your favorite podcasts. And if you'd rather watch the podcast, we don't recommend doing that while you're driving. But if you'd rather watch it, go to Stadium Journey's YouTube page. And you can join
I
us.
personally don't care because I don't advocate either way.
You can join us for our live streams every other Monday night at 7 Eastern on all of our vast media empires.
It's more like 7:30-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show up early. Get a good seat.
Yeah. No, don't.
We'll be back in 2 weeks. Hopefully that brings us to September 30th, if I'm doing my math right. What will we talk about? I don't know. Football? Hockey? Basketball? Tune in to find out. We don't have a plan.
Gary Sharon era Van Halen.
I saw Gary Sharon.
Fire
I saw them play
in
twice.
the
People listening, if we do that, who knows? Who knows?
Featured on Lethal Weapon 4.
So, once again, Donnie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
And
having
thanks
me.
everyone. And thanks everyone for listening and for all your support. For Dan, Mark, and Dave, this is Paul wishing you all safe journeys and close games.
Bye.
Bye.